Hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Never Normal, episode 15. In fact, Jackie, I have to say this. We're 5 minutes late, and Facebook just gave us a warning that we were late, that they were going to cancel our stream if we didn't go live. We're being punished for being late.
We have enough bosses.
I was like, oh my God, we're Facebook's bitch right now. We better get this right.
Like, how is that possible?
How are you?
I'm good. Where are you? Are you in your kitchen?
Yes, I'm actually in my kitchen. So normally there is a recording studio here at my co-living community, and I usually reserve it, but I had so much going on, and we'll talk about that later. I didn't reserve the space in enough time, so somebody's already in the studio today. So I was like, I have to improvise. And I do have a few roommates, but my roommates are amazing. And I was like, guys, I'm going to be in the kitchen today. I hope that's okay. I mean, that's the beauty of this virtual platform. It doesn't really matter like where we are.
Yeah.
But that is totally what I want to talk about today.
How are you so well lit when you're backlit too?
I don't even know. Like, that's just naturally, like, that's my porch behind me. That's just the sun being amazing. I actually don't have any special lighting or like even one of those self-tape lights. I don't even have that going on right now. Maybe this is serendipity and I should do this in my kitchen more often.
Yeah, more kitchen.
It looks good. Oh, so this is what I want to talk about today, people. And you guys need to be active in the chat because I need some feedback because my soul is on fire. So I want to talk about like kind of moving into a virtual platform in general in life, but also like in our industry and how weird this is, like, and that we're not really armed with all of the tools to assimilate to this new environment, but there's this expectation that we kind of just know how to do it. Like everything moved virtual and then we're like, now let's do everything on Zoom and do everything on StreamYard. And like, we're just supposed to know, like, we're like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm 40 years old. I'm old school. Like, I had an 8-track and a fucking pager.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, we have to do it so fast, which is good because it keeps us young.
Yes.
Do you want to know something my friend taught me? She said that I have a friend that's way younger than me, and she said to her dad, she was like, Dad, you guys are just used to like one flip and things were on. So you guys hit one thing and you're like, I can't do it. Like there's just more flips. She's like, that's it. It's just like, it's pretty easy. It's just concentrating on it. And I'm like, that calmed me down a lot. Cause I really was just like, I mean, I'm an adult child of an alcoholic. I just like give up really fast. I'm just like, I can't do this. Somebody else.
But I also think there's this natural adjustment that we're not allowed to have. Like these younger generations literally came into the world with an iPad in their hands. And so it's so automatic. So some of that like anxiety for the learning curve of the virtual platform, I think our generation has more of that because we're young enough where we want to be like present in what's like hip and what's savvy, but there's not a window in which we can learn it before we're just expected to show up for the next thing. And so like that's been really challenging for me, and also not knowing how to advocate for myself and like require that I get educated in this area, because I think what's sort of difficult for me, and I'm only going to share my experience, but one of the reasons why my ass is on fire, I want to be cautious as we embark on this discussion, is I had a show on Saturday that ended up getting canceled in the middle of the show because my Zoom got trolled and I lost a lot of fucking money and it had to be rescheduled, and it caused this super uncomfortable conversation with my agent. I was walking through a lot of fear about whether or not I was going to get dropped because I didn't know how to navigate the platform, and also the level of responsibility that was thrown on me as an artist. So I'll give the quick breakdown of what happened.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your feedback. So, and tell me if you can relate. Like when I did colleges and cruise lines before, and I want to start with like a statement of gratitude because I have been very blessed because of this virtual platform. I have worked a lot in 2020. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that celebrities don't want to do this virtual shit. So people like us who are just like professional working comics that are somewhere in that middle ground, we're getting the gigs right now. And I am so incredibly grateful for that. But I also am in this state of overwhelm of what is expected of me. And so basically what happened on Saturday is, backtrack. before, when I was performing live, when I would do a college, right, you would have like a student person that was appointed the day of your show. They would run your tech, your lighting, they would find the venue, right? So you didn't have to find the venue at the actual school. They created the space, the theater space, whatever. You showed up at that space, they tested your lighting and your sound. Especially being a variety element comic, I do videos, and I also like superimpose like karaoke music because I plug in an amp and a guitar, and like I don't just stand in front of a mic. I have a lot of multimedia elements that require tech support.
I just stand in front of a mic.
What is it?
I just stand in front of a mic.
Not that that's bad, but it's
No,
just
I know, but
in order for me, if somebody wants the Renee Santos show, in order for me to be the best at my business that you have hired me for, there are a list of things that I need support on in order to give you the best show. And so I need like tech support in those regards. And when I do colleges, they have all that set up for me. Someone does the lighting and the sound, they plug in my amp, make sure it works. They test my guitar so that like during the actual show, we're not running that, they run the lights, make sure that I'm lit well, then to turn it back off, all that stuff. Like it's standard. It's like a sound check thing that we all do. Our call time's a half hour before, and they check all our crap. Now that it's moved to a virtual platform, that has completely been removed for me. So I'm responsible for creating the Zoom meeting on my own Zoom account where I set up the meeting. I'm the host. There's a waiting room. I'm letting people into the waiting room. So now on the day of my show, I'm not only the performer doing 1 hour of comedy, I'm now the host and the bouncer and the tech support and there's not a host that's provided for me. And so basically what happened on Saturday is I disabled my waiting room because I couldn't be inviting people in while I was trying to do the comedy. And because of that, like I got trolled and my camera went off and it wasn't working. And then I was trying to do stand-up comedy, but my camera wasn't on. And then the expectation was that I fix it. I had to end the meeting and re-invite people to a new meeting, but then nobody had the new link. So then no one showed up to the new Zoom link. But I'm doing this while texting and I'm performing. I'm in my show, Jackie. I'm literally in my show.
It's too much.
And it's like, that's too much responsibility. Like I need a host the day of. And
yeah. Can they get you a host?
Well, that's kind of the conversation I want to have because I want to be careful to not be in attack mode because I love my agents. They've been really good to me. And I think there's just an opportunity for us all to be educated on what is required. I don't think that my agency is entirely aware of what goes into it the day of and how it's kind of impossible
for me to college agent? Your college?
Yeah, it was a college. And I'm blessed that they rescheduled for February 5th.
Oh,
but I want to make sure I'm so glad.
That's great.
I just want to make sure that I'm aligned for success on February 5th, So like what I learned the hard way, which I wish it wasn't the hard way, is that oh my gosh, how funny. Sorry. So talk about like doing three things at once. One of the comments is that we look like Blossom. Do you see this? My name is
You look like Blossom?
Look at the comment on the it just caught my attention as I was talking.
You girls look like Blossom and Six from the 90s TV show Blossom. Look them up. We know who they are.
It's actually really funny, Nelson.
Wait, which one of us is Blossom and which one of us is Six?
Mm-hmm. So
I love the dance. I love the dance.
I think you're Blossom and I'm Six. I think right. Nelson, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm Six and she's.
What is getting together with friends, other comics, and you each host for each other?
So Colleen, that's like a great suggestion. But then here's the other thing we need to talk about: COVID regulations, right? So I'm in this private studio that doesn't allow any outside guests. So to be able to invite somebody in to co-host with us, like there's so many adjustments happening in 2020. Like we don't have access to the same.
You can have somebody co-host your Zoom.
We can have somebody co-host, but what I've noticed is that if that person is not physically in the room, because this has been the challenge, is that for me to text because you got to remember, I'm using one of my devices to actually perform. So if that person's not in the room and I'm trying to troubleshoot with the host, I then have to get on my phone or an iPad, or it is easier for what I have noticed if that person is actually in the room but next to me on the Zoom call, for them to be troubleshooting with that human in the room, just not on the screen. I've noticed is critical, is sort of critical for it. It's because basically to have an opportunity to take out one of the tech elements, like having a live human being that's just not on screen, that's what makes it so challenging, is when you're doing everything through a device in order to troubleshoot, it sometimes is difficult. You need But like my studio right now, I can't have any outside guests. So it's very hard for me to just have somebody join me in the studio to host. I need to find somebody who lives in my co-living community to hop on board to help me host. And
Oh,
the other thing,
that's nice that you have that.
it is nice that I have that, but I
Could
mean,
one- I was gonna say, can you want your lady friend do it?
well, I mean, she has helped to a degree, but then, yeah, we can host from afar. It's not impossible to host from afar, but what I've learned is that it's, in my experience so far, and I'm so willing to learn, that it has been harder to do. It is hard to do 100% of the work that is required of me when I am sitting in a room by myself.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
very, very hard.
What I
You
like
know?
to look at it as that I save up my energy and put it all into that, and think of it as normally I'm getting in my car, finding a parking spot, finding this, finding that, having to talk to other people. So I take all my energy and just like really channel it and focus it and do it all at the time. And then I'm just like exhausted after, and I'm just ready to just like do it all right then. And that it's not going to be as fun as it is live because it's so much work.
And I
But
think that's part of the conversation I wanted to have today, is that I think there's this illusion that now that things have kind of moved to a virtual platform, that it's easier, and actually it's infinitely more difficult in my personal experience.
it's way more difficult, but it's less time, but it's much less enjoyable. It's work now.
And it requires more an investment. Like I've had to invest in a mic and certain sound equipment to plug into my phone. I now have like that self-tape light. I have a green screen, all of these things that we've had to invest in to like move to a virtual platform, which I'm grateful I'm able to invest in my career. I'm willing to do it. I've done it gladly. I have all the equipment that was required of me to do my job. So I'm not having a resistance to that, but I just think there's a level of awareness that needs to happen around what is required of us now, and I think what's interesting about what we do, and I'd love to hear your opinion about this, is when we do our job well, it really does look like we're just floating on stage and we're making everybody laugh. And there are many times I get this feedback of, oh my God, you have the most fun job in the world. You just make people laugh. Like, I don't think the level of responsibility to make somebody laugh nonstop for 1 hour is a massive responsibility.
Massive. And wait, can I tell you my big pet peeve? That show, Mrs. Maisel. Like people are like, Jackie, why do you have to prepare? Can't you just like talk about your day? Like go up on stage and talk about your day? A, that's not how comedy works. And I do that. I do that a lot. But B, has she ever, like, you're just hearing the audience laugh and them saying she did well. She's never actually said anything funny. There's been nothing funny that she said on there. Those aren't jokes. Like nobody's like, oh my God, let's get the Mrs. Maisel CD and listen to it. Those jokes are so funny. They're not funny. They're not.
That's to your point. Let's listen to the CD. Like there's also that. Like, did you find that when you were recording your album, like the stuff that you could do in audio content was not the same content you could do visually? Like I have a lot of visual jokes where I use my body, and like it's not funny if you just hear the audio file. So to make that adjustment, like people don't realize that part of what people are responding to is the energy in the room, the live performance, the immediate feedback that you're getting from other people there. So when you don't have that, like when I'm in a room by myself and I have no idea if a joke is landing, it's really hard to stay present in the next joke because I'm like, I don't know if people are laughing. I can't see anybody's faces, nor can I see anybody laugh. Or like, you know what I mean? Or hear anybody laugh because everybody's muted so that the sound doesn't conflict with me being able to perform, which I get.
For me, what I've been doing is just laughing for myself like this. And I really, it's interesting. People have said that I spiritual bypass things, that I just like get happy. But like, I want to put it into this right now because sometimes, like, I have not thought about how much I miss stand-up comedy being live in the room. I let myself think about it for a minute and I almost fainted. Like everything went out from under me because I miss it so much, but I won't let myself really grieve it because I feel like I will grieve forever. So instead, what I'm doing is taking all that energy and really looking at the bright side of virtual stuff as much as I can and doing as much as I can and knowing, really trusting that the live stuff will come out of it and that whatever I'm supposed to learn with this, I could take it with me and I mean, that's easy to say right now when we're not having major technical difficulties, when I'm not losing a bunch of money, when somebody's not hearing what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting how I can't even allow myself to think about it because I know I will cry for days.
It's hard. Like, I get it. I do the same thing. Like, every time I have a negative thing, I'm like, okay, what are you grateful for? Like, I'm grateful for the fact that, I mean, here's the truth, Jackie. I'm sitting in this room with this shirt on and this necklace on, but you know what? I don't have pants on and I have snuggly holiday socks on.
Same,
You
yeah,
see what I'm saying?
yeah,
These,
yeah,
I wouldn't be able to wear these on a freaking live stage, but because
yeah.
I'm in my kitchen, I can fake put this on where I'm half ready and the other half of me, like, I've done 3 different Zoom shows without any pants on.
Yeah.
That's an advantage. That's a freaking advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I haven't
So,
worn
like,
pants with a zipper in a very long time.
you know, like, I get it. Like, it took me 3 minutes to run upstairs and just like put makeup on and get half ready for me to be here. And
Right.
I do not take that for granted. And I love it. You're right. The commute's down. You know, I moved to LA from, in New York City, and I don't have a car right now because
Yeah.
I don't need it because of the quarantine thing, and I'm not driving to comedy shows. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to save up my money. I will get a car. I'm aligned to get a car, but right now I feel like it's a waste. I'm in quarantine. Why am I just going to get a car,
Yeah.
make payments on a car that's going to sit outside because I'm not
Yeah.
physically going anywhere?
The thought of, I mean, I was really kind of losing it with looking for parking. So I do kind of look at it like when things are getting really frustrating, I really look at it as like, I think I did need a reprieve for looking for parking.
Yeah. So funny.
Like it's nice not having that right now.
Totally.
And
There's some things I love about it.
I'm
You
not
know?
having travel. I was like going and going and going and going and going. And now to be able to literally be still, like I'm still going and going, but still in a still spot feels good.
Yeah, that's why like there's a lot that I'm willing, my willingness, because I can see with this whole like new COVID surge here in LA, the virtual platforms are here to stay for a little while. And I think even it's going to be sort of a merging of two worlds. I think even when society opens up and we start doing live comedy, colleges and cruise lines are going to continue to book virtual comedy. It is cheaper. There's no housing. There's, you can create entertainment more quickly. You don't have to book an actual cruise, So I think the worlds are going to sort of merge to be
Yeah,
able to,
that's what I'm
and I
excited
love
for.
that.
I'm excited for that too, for it merging. But yeah, right now it's just like, oh, what's
The
going
fact
on?
that there's none of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then some things I love, like I've been exploring, solutions on how to utilize the virtual platform. Like I have this new joke I've written about like fake drowning or whatever. But the point of the joke is I superimpose like an ocean behind me and I dip out of the shot. And I'm like, I can do that on a Zoom platform. Whereas like the joke's almost not as fun on a live stage. Like it actually works better with all of a sudden like the image of the ocean popping up behind me and me just falling out of the camera shot. So like I've tried to think outside of the box and I'm like, how can I make this platform actually work for me? And to be able to change my backdrop during the course of my show where I'm in different locations can serve the comedy. And so there's all that stuff that I'm like, lean in, Renee, like lean in, you have an opportunity to do other stuff here. And like thinking larger, when that show sort of like imploded on Saturday, I also thought, okay, this is why I need to record my music videos, because the other thing is like I had tech problems one time at the Metropolitan Room in New York City, and I had this spoof like Zimbalta commercial or whatever, and I just dropped the screen and ran my commercial while we were fixing tech stuff. And that's the beautiful thing about having media elements is you can troubleshoot in the moment where your audience is still getting some level of entertainment, even though you're not live on the stage.
That's beautiful.
And So I want to think more like that. I want to have 2 or 3 things that may not be a part of the regular planned set, but if something goes awry, I can just drop that into the shot while I figure it out, or while I need to look at my phone to like troubleshoot with my agent, like, this isn't working or something.
Yeah. What about hiring somebody yourself just because I think probably an agent might be something you want the agent to do, but if you don't want to like ruffle any feathers right now with the agent, maybe hire somebody for like a cheap amount just to like be technical from somewhere else.
I think that's what I'm going to do, because I'm also trying to be sensitive to the fact that just like sometimes our agents don't really know what is required of us on the stage, I don't know what their job is. And I try to be sensitive to the fact that I don't know. Like, I'm only one person, and the only career I'm responsible for is my career.
Right.
And so I do try to take into account that my agents have multiple clients and they're booking multiple shows and they're trying to troubleshoot this for everybody. So I don't want to put an expectation on them that like they need to step up at a level that is not fair to them either. I just really want to open up this conversation to find out like everybody needs to adjust, like everybody, including businesses. Like in general, I think that's what's been so weird about this year is that the way that people operated, we have to like lean into acceptance that you are not going to be able to conduct business the way that you did last year when you have a public health crisis. Like a public health crisis actually requires an adjustment. So that's what people are getting frustrated about is that like almost spiritual defiance about wanting it to be the way that it just can't be. Yeah. And if we just lean into the acceptance of it, I find myself less frustrated.
Right. And like the thought of like younger people being able to figure everything out. I mean, I could go like flip out about that at any time. But what I do to remind myself is that I'm lucky that I did get to grow up without a phone 24 hours a day. And so I like love saying goodnight to my phone and waking up and not going right into my phone. Where my friends with their kids, the kids like take away their phone. They like make crazy animal noises. Like they cannot.
And they're not as creative. Like my mother was a postal worker. Yeah. My mother was a postal worker and she would come home with boxes. And my sisters and I would like freak out. Like we would make forts and all kinds of shit, like literally empty boxes that no one used that cost $0. She'd come home with a pile of boxes and like I was in heaven for like 5 days. And now kids like they see a pile of boxes and they're totally uninterested. They're like, let me play Plants vs. Zombies on your iPhone. And I'm just like, there's a whole thing that they're missing, that like tactile contact with like the rest of the world and
just nature. Like they just walk around and not looking around. They're just like in their phones. And I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying that's how I make myself feel better when I'm like, I can't fix my website. And I'm like, oh, but I really appreciate trees in a way.
Totally. In a weird way, I feel like we're sort of the perfect generation because, you know, like technology.
That we can't do technology, and we're not so young that we don't understand what the sky is.
Yeah, what the sky is. That we don't know what you can make from a cardboard box.
Exactly.
We've got that going for us. Yeah, it's really, it really is true. Like, I'm glad I didn't miss that from my childhood. And I think that I stay creative as an adult because that was how I was raised, you know? And I think that some parents, like, especially parents that are our age, it's almost like circling back. I think it like missed this last generation. Like people who are like teens, early 20s now have this like defiance, you know, but also have this elitist attitude sometimes about like feeling like they're smarter than our generation because they have more access. Like that bothered me as a nanny. Like these kids would Google something in the palm of their hands and think that they were smarter. And I'm like, you're not smarter than me. It's just when I needed to look up who the 17th president of the United States was, I had to go to a fucking library and get an encyclopedia to find out that it was Andrew Johnson. All you got to do is look down. You don't even have to type anything in. You can just ask Siri to be like, who's Andrew Johnson? Then you have it in the palm of your hand and you're one-upping me thinking you're more educated. I'm like, you're not more educated, just you have a fucking phone. You know what I'm saying? And like, just that concept of like, I just know more than you. I'm like, you're filled with a bunch of information, but less actual living. Like,
Yeah, I like to bring
younger generations haven't like been in the world and
yeah,
felt the world, but yeah,
yeah.
they could explain something to you better than anybody else.
Yeah, some kid, my friend's daughter was like, said that, like, had the argument, like, you had to go to the library. I'm like, yeah, but I went to the library and saw all these people wrote that they were in love with me in the gazebo outside. Like, would I know that if I didn't? Like, I would never have known that. So, and we got to go to the library. Like, the library was
That
fun.
used to be so exciting.
It was
I just
fun.
remember looking at the walls of books and
Yeah, I
it
loved all the
smelled a
novels.
certain way. It was like, that was very exciting
And
for
it was
me.
church in a way. Like, you had to be quiet, and that suppressed laugh is always the best. So we like would laugh so hard in the library. Like, those were the best laughs, and the kids don't have that anymore.
It's so true. Like it's weird. Like being in my 40s now and like hearing my family or my parents talk to me about their perspective of what they grew up with that we, couldn't relate to.
Yeah, we don't
And
get to do that. Like, we have to, like, we don't, this is what we don't get to do. We don't get to do, they all had, like, I had to walk 10 hours in the snow to school. I had to da da da. Like, we don't get any of that because the kids are like, we get shot at. Like, we don't, like, we don't think, like, we had to do this. Like, we don't care. We get shot at. So, we never get to
we win. Yeah.
We never get
But
to.
there's some things that are beautiful about these younger generations too, because I also feel like Generation Z, like they're weird and wonderful. I think it's one of the reasons why like
I
Biden's going to
love
be in office soon, because they have this like lack of fear, but yet like basically if they order a latte wrong and like the barista fucks it up, they won't say anything, but they will jump a cop. You know what I mean? And they're like, Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, I fucking love that. Because my generation, even though we have that same belief system, we're like too scared to be defiant in any way. So like there's something beautiful about the fact that they don't give a fuck. And if they are if Generation Z is righteously angry, like they just make that shit happen. And I like want to have that level of courage. So in many ways, I think they're going to save us. You know what I mean? But
I believe Whitney Houston was right. I believe the children are
the future.
Teach them. I was just like, how did she write that song? And then all that happened, but she didn't write it.
She didn't write it.
But
I actually used to write a joke about how she was my voice of God. Like every time I would get frustrated, it's really funny, but true story. When I was a nanny and I would get really, really frustrated, that song would like automatically come into my head. Like I felt like Whitney Houston was my higher power. Like I wouldn't be thinking about that song for years, and I'd literally be ready to strangle the little fucking kid, and that would come in. I believe the children are the future. And I'm like, oh my God, you're perfect, whole, and complete, and you need nothing added to yourself in order to be your highest person. And it almost felt like I was super patient, when I was like, you little fucker, 2 seconds before.
Yeah. Oh my God, kids. Whitney, though, she wasn't able to write her own songs. Did I tell you that? She went to her manager. She was like, I want to write my own songs. Everybody else is starting to write their own songs. And they were like, no. I feel like that killed her, not being able to actually express herself and not be able to be a lesbian or bisexual or whatever she was. She wasn't able to. She was just able to sing, and that's it. Like, I mean, not that's it. She's got the best voice ever. I still listen to her constantly. I love her. I'll love her to the day I die, and beyond that. But she wasn't able to express herself in a lot of ways, and I think that can really smother people.
I agree with that. Like, I was having a conversation with my roommate the other day about the concept of celebrity, and like, did you ever see the Amy Winehouse documentary, Amy? Yeah, I mean, the thing I found so resonating about that is I remember her saying that celebrity only exists in the eyes of the public. It doesn't exist in the eyes of the actual celebrity who's like living, like from their perspective, like they just feel like a normal person. And that's part of like, so when you have all these expectations put on you, like Whitney Houston, where it's like your entire life becomes like you're obligated to the public and you don't get to individualize anymore. And like, how horrible that actually must be. And yet in society, we're just like, how can you complain? You're a celebrity. Everybody loves you. But we don't realize how much as human beings, we have a need to individualize. And when someone robs us of the opportunity for us to get to define our own identity, that can be horribly suffocating. And I think that's some of the reason why I'm like, why do I not have a career? Or, why is my career just really starting in my 40s? And I'm like, I have this gratitude because I got to decide who I was. And I think first, and because I didn't become known in my 20s and 30s, like now it's almost like I have my platform of knowing who I am. And now people are like latching on. It's a little bit harder to get people to bite, to chomp at the bit, but like, I'm a defined human being now. So like I have a brand, I walked into it as a brand as opposed to just having a seed of a gift and then having somebody calculate exactly who I was.
Right.
And I'm like, so as much as I get frustrated sometimes about like how my life has unfolded, I'm like, there's no mistake, especially being a recovering addict. Had I become famous in my 20s, I would be dead. I would be dead. I don't think I would have handled it. I've been able to handle it.
I would be dead.
Yeah.
Or burnt out.
Yeah. I mean, this is why there's the Heath Ledgers of the world and even Robin Williams. Like, think about when his celebrity began, he was a horribly depressed person, but he wasn't allowed to be depressed because he was a comedian. And we both know comedians are the most scary, damaged people in the fucking world. You know what I mean? Like, we have gone through some shit.
I have the same birthday as Robin Williams. You know that. Yeah.
You what?
I have the same birthday as Robin Williams and Hemingway.
Oh,
they both
don't do it. Well, I share my birthday with Boy George and
that's right. I love Boy George
and Donald Trump and Diablo Cody, who wrote Juno.
Oh, that's cool. Isn't she? Oh no, that's somebody else. Somebody else is trans. The woman who starred in Juno, she's trans now.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's cool.
I really could be saying the wrong person, so nobody quote me on that, but I believe so. Nobody quote me on that.
Well, Miss Jackie Monahan, we have no viewers right now, and we're 30 minutes in. But do you have any like culminating thoughts to end Never Normal episode 15?
Well, what I want to know for you is what could be another solution so that you don't go through that again?
Well, I think your suggestion, and a couple of people suggested, I need to find a host. And I think me hiring out and I think having a conversation with my agent, one of the things I've learned in my career is it's always better to present a problem with a solution at the same time. So being able to say like, look, this didn't work, but here's the solution, as opposed to this didn't work and I don't know what to do.
And then maybe say like, I'm open to a different solution if you have any other ideas, but I do have this solution. That's really good. I like that ending.
So I know for sure I'm going to need
a list of solutions, you know?
Totally. It would be really cool if my agency had the opportunity to be the host in that event, but also I don't know if that's possible for them, and I'm open for that not to be possible for them.
Right. Okay. But it would be a cool thing, and it would probably kind of help them ease their worries about stuff. But yeah, it's good to be open for anything.
But I'm also trying to find that line between like, closed mouths don't get fed. So do I ask? Is it is it an appropriate ask? But just also know that if you get a no, that you go and you find your own host. But yeah, what I know for sure at this point is on the day of an actual 1 hour show, I cannot be a one-man ship. I have too many elements in my comedy that it's very hard for me to do that.
Yeah. Or like kind of work it in that there's going to be some unseamlessness stuff and make it seem like it's part of the act.
Yeah, I think being able to like work with that, like there have been times like my internet has gone out. There was a one time recently where it said like my internet is unstable, and so like I just piggybacked on that, and I was like, well, it's not the only thing that's unstable.
Yeah,
like you can find a way to like segue into like what's happening that's problematic.
You hook your computer into the internet.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I need to do at some point, I have a PC, and I'm learning the more and more that I transition to a virtual platform, I need to prioritize getting a Mac. But like, I don't have an extra $2,000 to go buy myself a Mac right now. So,
yeah.
I'm
You need
trying
your
to
phone.
learn
Did
how to
you
do
get your
this with a
phone yet?
PC. You what?
Did you get your new phone yet?
I have not yet. Although I'm eligible, so I found
So
out I'm
what if you
eligible for an
get the
upgrade.
iPad and then do the shows off the iPad?
That's what I think I'm going to do because I'm eligible for one upgrade. So I can either upgrade my phone or get an iPad. And I'm thinking that may be the smarter choice is just get the iPad instead because then I have an Apple device and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just went on a date with somebody from Apple. I was like, yay.
Oh
But
my God, keep them around.
no, it didn't work out.
Oh, damn it. Jackie, have I taught you nothing? Sometimes you just gotta put out for the connection.
I know. I can't do
That's the
it.
lesson of the day, everybody.
Connected. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare being Southern. Wait, I felt like I had something to tell you, but I forget. Damn it. Damn it. Ooh, I had something good, but I can't remember. Arr, I love you though.
I love you too. And call me and then we can talk as friends too.
Can you imagine?
Imagine when we did that. We can even like FaceTime and then not be on a vlog when we're doing it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I know.
And I really do want to like coordinate with you about doing more like Never Normal promo stuff and videos. And
Yeah. And
I still want to connect with Eric about, say it again.
We have all those videos we can cut together.
Yeah, I think like a troubleshooting day where we have a lot of content. We just need to like pound the pavement and adjust.
I remembered what I wanted to ask you. Do you watch television?
Do I watch television? Periodically. I know. Is that weird that I'm an actor that doesn't watch television? It's weird.
No, I decided today because I have so many projects that I'm not working on that I'm going to take a week off TV. And from now on, for the rest of my life, do a week on, week off, week on, week off. I never watch TV during the day, but at night I watch it. So yeah, and I don't watch it like last time I watched
I just totally accused
for
you
an hour, but I want to really do like an hour a night when I do watch it, which I did last night and some nights. Anyway, so I was wondering if you watch TV because I know you're really busy too.
I do. I watch TV erratically. Like I don't have like the show I always watch. I had a few, but then that sort of dissipated. Like I was obsessed with Little Fires Everywhere. I've been obsessed to Weeds when it existed, True Blood. Like I've had a few shows that like when those are on, I binge, but I watch them in binge format because of streaming platforms, basically.
Right.
Like I watched when I had shingles, I watched all 9 seasons of Breaking Bad in like a week. And I just laid on my couch with shingles and watched Breaking Bad. So like I definitely binge, like any good addict. I binge and then I abstain, and then I binge and then I abstain.
Yeah. I like the idea of you just tweeting when I had shingles, I binge watched Breaking Bad. It's just like that. I love just weird facts being like tweeting.
I think I'm gonna tweet that right now.
Yeah, when I had shingles, it's so stupid. I love it so much. When I had shingles. What did I want to say? Okay, yeah. So I'm taking so let's do it this week. Let's do our stuff this week while I'm not watching TV.
Okay.
One night, let's
really plan it because I also, as far as like time management goes, I was supposed to go home for Christmas, so I took 2 weeks vacation where I'm not at my survival job. I supervise Starbucks, everybody. At any rate, so I'm not working a lot in the next 2 weeks because I was supposed to have vacation, and so when I decided to not go home, I couldn't really slide in to get hours because they covered me for the 2 weeks, basically. So at any rate, I'm like, I'm going to use this window to be creative. I think I'm working like 15 hours a week the next. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, so let's do it. I'm excited.
I think it's great. Let's prioritize it. I'll call you. You're beautiful. We're 8 minutes over, but we were 5 minutes late. So there you go. Thank you, everybody, for supporting us. We will see you next week on Never Normal. Goodbye.